Rachel called the police early in the morning. When they arrived, she told the officers her story. I work in a museum. Yesterday, I took home several ancient books. I wanted to do some research, but then a blackout happened. I lit a couple of candles and continued my work. Suddenly, I heard the doorbell ring. When I opened the door, someone in a black mask hit me on the head. When I recovered, the books were gone. Detective Anderson arrested the woman for misreporting. Why? If there had been a blackout, the doorbell wouldn't have been working. After a bank had been robbed, the police found a bag with money in the park. It was lying among cacti. The police officers arrested 3 suspects. It didn't take long to figure out who the bank robber was. Do you know who it is? It's the man on the left. He's the only one with some scratches. They must have been left by the cacti. Detective Brown stopped a man leaving a clothing store. The sales assistant claims you've stolen some expensive gloves. These are my gloves! I've had them for ages, the man exclaimed. But the detective immediately understood the man was lying. How? The man wouldn't be able to use these gloves. They're both for the same hand. A family with 2 teenagers went on vacation to the seaside. They lived in a small bungalow, almost right on the beach. Everything was great at first, but 2 days after their arrival, their younger son went missing. The police had 4 suspects. They invited the guy's family to look at them. Maybe they could recognize someone. The teenager's mother didn't need more than a glance before she knew who was behind her son's disappearance. Who was it? It's the man wearing the missing guy's baseball cap. Michael was going home from the gym when everything went black. When the guy came around, he found out that he was in a locked room. Next to the door, there was a computer with a keyboard. On the screen, there was a riddle. Michael had to type the correct answer, and the door would open. The riddle went like this. It makes 2 people out of 1. What is it? Michael typed the correct word, and the door opened. He was free to go. What was the answer? It's a mirror. Police detective Thomas Davis was walking along the street on a winter evening. Suddenly, he saw a person in a black mask sneaking out of a house through the window. They were carrying 2 large bags. The detective realized it was a burglar. He ran after the stranger, but they turned the corner and disappeared. Thomas understood that the criminal had hidden in one of these houses. But which one? It can't be the house on the left. There are too many people inside. There are no footprints in the snow leading to the house on the right. It means no one has been there for quite some time, which leaves us with the house in the middle. Oliver was attacked in his apartment and taken to a hospital. The police had 4 suspects, all of them Oliver's neighbors. Amelia said she'd been walking in the park since early morning. Henry explained he'd been painting in his studio and had heard nothing. Jacob said he'd been repairing his car. Sophia answered she'd been taking a bath for the past 3 hours. Look at these people's hands and try to figure out who is lying. It's a bit strange that Jacob, who'd been repairing his car, and Henry, who'd been painting, both have such clean hands. But they could have been wearing gloves. At the same time, Sophia's hands and fingers aren't wrinkled. But it would be a natural skin reaction after 3 hours in a bathtub. How many bricks does it take to complete a building? Just one. It will be the last one. A man wanted to buy a used car. He found a nice one which cost $9,000. He bought it and didn't pay a dime for it. How come? When paying $9,000, you don't need to spend dimes. Now let's check your math skills. How can you write 45 using only the number 4? "44 plus 44 44ths. Nathan sneaked out of the house late in the evening to meet his girlfriend. The teenager thought he was extremely careful and quiet, but his whole family knew about his plan. They were aware that the guy would return at midnight. They decided to make a bet. The one who would see Nathan first when the guy started climbing the fence would be the winner. No chores for them for 1 week. Not to fall asleep, Nathan's dad switched on the TV. The teen's grandfather settled in the living room and started to read a book. The grandmother went to the kitchen to make pizza, and Nathan's mom went to her room, sat down on the floor, and started meditating. Who's going to be the first to spot Nathan when the time comes? Nathan's mom. Her eyes will be used to the darkness, and she will see better than the others. The CEO of a large company called the police. He was sure that one of his employees, Victoria, had stolen a memory card with secret information. She was going to sell it to the competitors. The police arrived at Victoria's house, but the woman didn't let them in without a warrant. The officers had to leave to get all the necessary papers. When they came back, Victoria was already sitting in her car, ready to drive off. The police officers arrested the woman. They searched her car and clothes, but found nothing. And then, when they were about to give up, one of the detectives realized where Victoria kept the memory card. Can you figure it out? When the police first came to her, the woman had her hair down, but after that, Victoria changed her hairstyle. The memory card is in her bun. Martin was driving past a bus stop when he saw 3 people standing there. One of them was Monica, a woman he had a crush on. Martin also spotted Sam, his friend, and an elderly lady who looked like she was freezing. Unfortunately, Martin had a 2-seater car. What should he do? He should let Sam borrow his car and stay at the bus stop with the girl he likes. This way, Sam will be able to give a lift to the elderly woman, and Martin will have more time to get to know Monica better. During a fire, a bank was robbed. The security guard told the police he wanted to save a bag with money, but he had to lace up his boot right in front of the emergency kit. At that moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he recovered, the money was missing. Why was the security guard arrested? All emergency doors open outward. Detective Adams came to the park to have lunch in the sun, but his attention was drawn by 3 men running around a fountain. Each of them was shouting, "Thief! Catch the thief!" The detective was confused. Who was the real thief? That's why he just kept watching. After some time, the distance between the men shortened. Detective Adams immediately realized who the real thief was. Can you figure it out too? If the third man was the thief, the second one would only have to turn around to catch him. The same goes for the second man, which means the man running in first is the criminal. Someone robbed a bank in a large city. A police detective went to visit the main suspect. "I've been feeling unwell all this week, and I haven't left my apartment for 3 days. I didn't even need food. My fridge is full. You can make sure yourself," the suspect said, and indeed opened his fridge. But the detective realized the man was lying and arrested him. How did he figure it out? First of all, the bread on the table looks fresh. Plus, if the man had been staying inside for 3 days already, his fridge wouldn't be that full.
A rich lady booked into one of the best hotels in the city. When she got her key, she noticed that her bags had been stolen.
Oh no!
The police interrogated 3 main suspects. Mr. Kramer said, "I'm going to see my friends now. I've spent the day in my room." Mrs. Harrelson said, "I wouldn't steal anything. I'm rich." Mr. Scott said, "I've been walking my dog and have just returned. I know nothing about it." Who is the criminal? Have you noticed the sign, "No pets allowed," on the hotel door? This hotel has a no pets policy, so Mr. Scott couldn't walk his dog. They wouldn't have checked him in with one. Riley is studying abroad and has a boyfriend her family doesn't know about. Her parents don't approve of dating until she graduates. Riley spent the semester break with her boyfriend on his family's farm, but she told her parents that she had been in New York with her friends. When her mother asked for photos, Riley photoshopped herself into one of her friends' photos. When her mom saw the photos, she understood that Riley had lied. How? Look, Riley is the only person in the photo who doesn't have a reflection in the mirror behind. This is what gave her away. Mrs. Brown is the owner of an apartment building with a no-pet policy. Not even fish are allowed. One night she hears a dog barking on the floor above her apartment. The next day she inspects 2 apartments upstairs. In which apartment does the dog live? Look, there is a dog leash hanging in this apartment. It must be the one. Even after the tenant with the dog had moved out, Mrs. Brown kept hearing some barking. She thought it was phantom noises, but a week later she decided to check 2 more apartments. Take a close look at them and try to figure out if a dog lives one of them. Yes, a dog lives in this apartment. Look, there is a dog hair all over the bed. Jane came home from school, looking forward to eating her favorite waffles she had prepared in this morning. Unfortunately, someone had eaten half of them. Furious, she questioned 2 people in the house, her friend and her dad. Both of them were sitting at the kitchen table. Both denied having touched her food. Who lied? Her father lied. Look, there are waffle crumbs in his mustache. Alice participated in a game show and she won 3 exclusive gifts. A Dolce & Gabbana wallet, a backpack from Dior, and a Tesla. But here is a catch. She is to pick her presents herself by choosing between the original and the replica. Can you help her pick the correct prizes? Here are 2 Dolce & Gabbana wallets. One of them is the original, and the other is a replica. Which one should Alice choose? This one, it has the correct logo, so it must be the original. Now look at these seemingly identical backpacks. Only one of them is the original Dior bag. Which one? This one. This logo is correct. And finally, the car. Let's see if you remember the Tesla logo. Yes, this is the one. Great job! Daniela graduated from FBA Academy and applied for a job at several secret agencies. She got an acceptance letter from one of them. but it didn't contain any instructions. In the end, there was a number. She tried to call it, but it turned out it didn't exist. Take a look at the acceptance letter. Can you help Daniela figure it out? It's a secret message, of course, and figuring it out is one of the tasks. Daniela should pay attention to the highlighted words. Then, from each of them, she should take the letter that corresponds with the number at the bottom of the page. If she does it, she'll see small lake at 11. Daniela got the job, and now she's on her first case. Amelia's cat was stolen, and she asked Daniela to find it. Daniela paid a visit to several neighbors and questioned them. Jake said, "I have 2 dogs. I wouldn't steal a cat." Mike said, "I don't like animals, so I'd never get a pet." And Jessica said, "I'm not even allowed to have pets in this apartment." Who stole Amelia's cat? Have you noticed a cat house in Mike's apartment? Why does he have it if he doesn't like pets? He must be the cat napper. Another day, another crime. Daniela was following a shoplifter who had stolen an expensive purse from a Louis Vuitton store. Suddenly, the criminal entered a hospital and disappeared into the crowd. Daniela went inside. She saw 3 visitors. One of them must be the shoplifter pretending to be a patient. Can you tell who it is? It must be this woman. That young woman is pregnant, and this one is wearing high heels, so she wouldn't have been able to run fast. On Monday morning, a big sum of money went missing from the accountant's safe, and Daniela arrived to investigate. She had 3 suspects. John said, "I was in my office all morning because I needed to do some urgent work." Elizabeth said, "I was drinking my morning coffee in the cafeteria and answering emails." And Julia said, "I was in my office finishing some tasks I didn't have time to do yesterday." Who should be Daniela's main suspect? Julia. She mentioned some tasks left from the day before, but it was Sunday. Daniela was spending her Sunday in a theme park when she heard 2 people arguing. It turned out they were arguing over the car keys left in the park's lost and found. Both were claiming them. Take a close look at them and decide who the keys really belong to. The guy is blind, so the car keys must belong to this woman. Daniela stayed in the park, and she had to crack some more cases that day. She needs your help, so have a look. Another lost and found item is this iPhone. Who do you think it belongs to? This girl's phone is in her pocket, so the iPhone most likely belongs to the other woman. And the last item is a Louis Vuitton purse. 2 girls are claiming it, but who is the rightful owner? Look, the purse has a keychain with the name Ella. It's the name of the girl on the right. At least that's what her name tag says, so the purse must belong to her. Ned works in a club. His job is to check people's ID cards and not to let any suspicious people in. Take a look at these IDs and figure out who isn't supposed to enter the club. So here's the first one. What would you say about this man? Don't let him in. The man was born on the 3rd of February, but this date doesn't even exist. It must be a fake ID. Okay, here's the next candidate. What's your verdict? He seems fine. He can come in. Okay, here's the next guest. In or out? What do you think? She seems fine for me. Okay, next. Luke, what is your decision regarding this one? Look, in the picture the woman has a birthmark on her cheek, but in reality she doesn't have any. That's suspicious. Don't let her in. Okay, another one for you. Look, the city isn't specified here. It just says Nevada. It's not what other IDs look like. So this one must be fake. I wouldn't let her in. And what about this girl? Would you let her in? She seems alright. Green light.
Julie worked in a Prada store in New York. Everything there was expensive, and most clients paid by credit card. But one day, she got a client who got a purse, a wallet, and a dress. All that cost her $3,990. But the woman decided to pay in cash. Julie refused to sell the items to the client and called the police. Why? Tried to use to pay. They are two $2,000 bills, which don't exist. The police of Atlanta were notified that a prisoner had escaped from Chicago and taken the plane to Atlanta. Of course, an officer was sent to the airport to find the prisoner and capture them. The police officer spotted 3 people who looked similar to the criminal. Take a look at the passengers. Which one should be arrested? The prisoner must be this guy. He's the only one who doesn't have any luggage with him. Probably because he was running away and had none. In a small town, a grand robbery happened. Someone robbed a jewelry store in the local mall. At 6:03 p.m., the lights in the whole mall went off for 8 minutes. When the lights came back on, the most expensive jewelry pieces were missing from the shelves. The police interrogated 3 main suspects. Jack said,
I was picking out a present for my son in an electronics store when the lights went off. I was so confused as anyone else.
Fred said, I wasn't even in the mall at the time. I have no idea what you're talking about. And Stacy said, I was in the bathroom fixing my makeup. I didn't even notice the lights went out. Who is the main suspect? It's Stacy. She said that she hadn't noticed that the light had gone out, but they went off everywhere, including the bathrooms. She would have noticed it, so she's lying. Ava has always wanted to get a cat, but her mom wouldn't allow her to have a pet. So, when one day she found a kitten on the street, she brought it home, but kept it a secret. She succeeded for 2 weeks, but one morning she went down to the kitchen. Have you been hiding a cat in your room? Her mother asked. How did she figure it out? Ava is wearing shorts. Her legs are all scratched, and these scratches are what gave her away. During Halloween, all kinds of creatures flooded a little town, blending in with the citizens. Weeks passed, but some of them stayed, pretending to be humans. The town's detective could catch the remaining ones. He's been tracking a vampire, and he has 3 suspects. All of them only come out at night. Which one of them is the vampire? This guy is pale, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he's a vampire. This guy is wearing a silver chain, so he can't be one. But this guy doesn't have a reflection. This is definitely not a human. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's ID cards and not let inside any suspicious people or people below the age of 21. Take a look at these 3 ID cards and figure out who isn't supposed to enter the club. Okay, here's the first guest for you. What can you say about this man? Don't let him in. The person in the photo is totally different. It's not this guy's ID card. Okay, here's the next one. Keep your eyes wide open. Do you see anything suspicious? She seems fine. Let her in. Okay, the next one. Check it out and make your decision. In or out? Las Vegas is written with a W. It's a typo, which is unacceptable for official documents. This ID must be fake. Here's the next guest for you to examine. What's your verdict? Will you let her in? She seems fine to me. It must be safe to let her in. What about this girl? Is anything off here? She seems fine to me too. Green light. Okay, the last guest. In or out? Look, the woman in the photo has a brown right eye and a green left eye. The real woman has a brown left eye and a green right eye. This is too suspicious. I wouldn't let her in. Amelia is a huge modern art enthusiast, and she wants to take her siblings to a new exhibition. A ticket for one person costs $18. A ticket for 2 costs $30. And a ticket for 3 costs $45. If she wants to pay as little as possible, should she invite her 2 siblings at once or go with each of them separately? It's cheaper if the 3 of them go together. It'll cost $45. If Amelia went with each of them separately, she would have to pay $30 twice, so she'd pay $60 in total. Ellery has a sweet tooth, and every Friday she goes candy shopping for the week. Tonight, she bought chocolate bars, jelly beans, and gummy bears. She has all chocolate bars but 2, all packs of jelly beans but 4, and all packs of gummy bears but 4. How many pieces of each type of sweets did she buy? Chocolate bars are all but 2, which means that there are 2 packs of jelly beans and gummy bears together. So there's 1 pack of jelly beans and 1 pack of gummy bears. Chocolate and gummy bears are 4 together, so there are 3 chocolate bars. Ailu is a fairy living in her magical forest. Every day, she takes the same route for a morning flight to the lake. One Friday, she was flying to the lake when she met some other creatures moving towards her. There were 2 elves, 3 fairies, and a gnome. How many creatures were going to the lake that Friday morning? Just Ailu. Everyone else was going in the opposite direction. Lily and Della are twin sisters. Both girls failed their history test at school, and their mother made them study all weekend. In the middle of the day, Mrs. McAdams came to check on the girls. Take a look at Lily and Della. Which of them hasn't been studying? Della, the book she's reading isn't a history book, it's physics. She must have grabbed the closest book as soon as she heard her mother's footsteps. A rich lady was booking into one of the best hotels in the city. When she got her key, she noticed that her bags had been stolen. The police interrogated 3 main suspects. Mr. Collins said, "I wouldn't steal anything. I'm rich. I live in the penthouse on the 20th floor." Mrs. Jones said, "I've just returned to the hotel. I've been out all day." And Mrs. Smith said, "I wouldn't steal anything. I have too much stuff myself." Mr. Collins seems shady. He can't live on the 20th floor because there are only 18 floors in the hotel. Amber participated in a game show, and she won. She got 3 exclusive gifts: a Givenchy purse, Armani sunglasses, and a Porsche. But here's a catch. She is to pick her presents herself by choosing between the original and a replica. You need to help her pick the correct prize. Here are 2 Givenchy purses. One of them is the original, and the other is a replica. Which one should Amber choose? This one. It has the correct logo, so it must be the original. Now, there are 2 seemingly identical pairs of sunglasses, but only one of them is the original from Giorgio Armani. Which one? This one, with the correct logo. And finally, the Porsche. Let's see if you remember their logo. Yes, this is the one. Great job.
James is a famous vlogger. He arrives at an abandoned haunted castle to film a video. James hasn't even entered the house yet, but he has already spotted 5 weird things about this place and freaked out. Can you see them too? These footprints on the ground are too giant. It's winter, but this cherry tree is blooming. It should be the moon in the sky, not Saturn. Also, this black cat has 4 paws, but leaves footprints from only 3. James walks around the castle and gets lost in the garden maze. But in a while, he arrives at the front doors. Can you guess which way brought James here? Here's the only way to cross the maze. Unfortunately, the doors are locked. James needs to enter a 4-digit code. Can you find any clues? Take a closer look at the door. There are 4 stars painted on it. The first one has 5 rays, the second has 4 rays, the third one, 9, and finally, the fourth one has 7 rays. Therefore, the correct code is 5497. James enters the castle. It's very dark. Suddenly, someone grabs his camera and runs away to the library. James follows the thief. In the library, he faces a werewolf, a vampire, and a lady ghost. James questions them all. The werewolf says, "I only come here for magic books to find a way to become human again. I'm not involved in the robbery." The lady ghost says, "Someone spilled cherry juice on my favorite dress. I spent an hour in the bathroom trying to clean it. I didn't see anything suspicious." And the vampire says, "It's early evening now. I got up just a minute ago. Why would I need your camera anyway?" Who is lying? You cannot spill juice on a ghost. Therefore, she's lying. James enters another creepy room full of mirrors, but only one of them is fake. Can you help James find his real reflection? Only the second mirror shows the truth.
Oh, yeah.
James enters the toilet room, but all cabins are occupied. Can you spot a zombie among the visitors? The zombie is behind the left door. See the hands? They are greenish. Suddenly, James finds an invitation card for a party. The castle owner, Luna, is having a birthday. James enters the main hall and sees 7 pretty witches sitting by the table. All look very similar, but each witch is wearing an outfit of a different color. It's very hard to tell who's the birthday lady, but after a couple of seconds, James approaches one of the witches, shakes her hand, and says, "Thank you for inviting me over, Luna." How did he guess? Take a look at these gifts. Each witch brought a box wrapped in the color of her outfit, but the green box is absent because Luna is wearing the green dress. Luna leads James to a company of 4 ghosts and says, "Welcome, stranger, meet my granny." Can you help James find out Luna's actual grandmother? It's the 3rd ghost. She's wearing the same brooch as Luna. One of the witches, Zelda, likes James and wants to impress him. She shows him some pictures of her fabulous vacation, but James spots fake right away. How? Take a look at the angle of the shadows in this picture. It's obvious that Zelda has photoshopped herself over this fancy beach view. In the middle of the party, Luna gets a message from her boyfriend, Carl. He lives alone only 20 minutes away from the castle. Here's what he sends. "Sorry for being late, honey. I'm still working." Luna yells, "Liar!" and blocks him. Why? It's because of his selfie. There's a lipstick mark on the glass in the kitchen. Luna breaks up with Carl and uses a magic spell to teleport 3 handsome wizards to her dinner. When they arrive, Luna asks them just one question. "Do you guys have a girlfriend?" Magnus replies, "Lady, I work around the clock. I'm too busy for romance." Tristan says, "Oh no, I've never had any serious relationships." Ambrose replies, "Nah, I'm too picky. I'm still searching for the one." 2 guys are lying. Can you guess who? Magnus. There's a romantic tattoo with a female name on his chest. And Tristan. He has a tan line around his ring finger. Therefore, he had been wearing a wedding ring. James goes to the kitchen to help Luna with coffee. He spots 3 odd things right away.
Oh.
Can you see them too? The candle flame painted on the canvas is moving. There's a zombie hiding on the shelf behind the jars. And also Luna puts salt in the coffee pot. Luna comes back to the hall and sees that someone had scratched her favorite oil painting on the wall. She interrogates 4 suspects among her guests. Magnus says, "Whoa, I haven't even noticed the painting." Sophia says, "Sorry, I was having a phone call." Zelda says, "No worries, honey. I can paint you a new one better than this." And Glinda says, "I was in the bathroom. I don't know who ruined the painting. Who is guilty?" Glinda. Her nail polish has the same color as the scratches on the painting. Luna takes James to the garden and turns him into stone. Can you find the enchanted James among these 3 statues? There shouldn't be any grass under a real statue. Meanwhile, James has only been a stone for a few minutes. Therefore, we need to choose the only statue with grass underneath. James asks Luna to let him go. She says, "Okay, but first, you should crack my riddle. If I had 3 watermelons and 4 oranges in one hand, and 4 watermelons and 3 oranges in the other hand, what would I have?" Can you help James figure it out? To solve this riddle, we need to think literally. The correct answer is, she would have very large hands. James wakes up in a dusty basement. He wanders around and finds 3 doors, but each way is guarded by a creepy magical creature. A hungry vampire is hiding behind the first door, and a fire-breathing dragon is waiting behind the second door. And there's a giant mutant rat behind the third door. Can you help James choose the best option? James should choose the first door. Take a look at the window. It's already dawn, which means the vampire is sleeping. James gets out of the castle and walks home. Suddenly, he spots a suspicious guy with a huge bag nearby a luxurious mansion. James decides to question the guy. He says it was his house, and he carried his old stuff to give it away for charity. James calls the police right away. Why? Take a look at the window. The glass is broken, and the guy's coat is torn. Why would he need to leave his own house through the broken window? Therefore, he's probably a thief. Finally, James arrives home. He checks his emails and finds 3 letters from different witches. Linda offers him to study at her magic school. Zelda invites James to visit her villa in Antarctica. And Sophia invites him on a date. But only one of these emails isn't fake. Can you find it? Linda's email is just spam. She doesn't mention his name in the message, and it also contains a suspicious link. Zelda sends him a picture of her villa, but it's clearly not in Antarctica, so only Sophia's email is real. James agrees to go on a date. He arrives at the meeting point and faces not 1 Sophia, but 5. Unfortunately, a wicked wizard had cloned her. He tells James, "You only have 1 chance to choose the real Sophia. If you succeed, I'm gonna let her go. Can you help James?" The first lady has gills, so she's probably fake. The second one's teeth are too sketchy. The fourth Sophia has 2 left hands, and the 5th one has lilac eyes, while the real Sophia's eyes are green. Therefore, James should choose the third lady.